This week's episode is brought to you by Distilled Experiences. Distilled Experiences is where you can find your exclusive Kentucky experience at distilledexperiences.com and use the code MyBourbonPodcast for 10% off any public tour.
One more time?
Distilledexperiences.com and use the code MyBourbonPodcast for 10% off any public tour. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This is My Bourbon Podcast. It is the very first episode of 2020.
Woo!
Yay!
Heck yeah. I made it.
New decade.
Barely.
New decade, new me.
New decade, new year, new
Me.
me. Yes, that's everything you just said.
New
just
you.
repeated. New you. Oh my goodness. I'm your host, Perry. Thank you all so much for being here for the 2020 season. I don't know.
Commonwealth, Perry.
great,
It's the Commonwealth. Yeah, the
Thank you,
Commonwealth.
Swan. Swan and Curtis are here this week. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
I made it.
Yeah. Just barely.
Yeah.
You had a bit of a scare this week,
We've all had one.
Yeah.
It's all good.
but we're glad you're okay. Unfortunately, you can't drink this week
Nope, but I'm here because what are we doing today,
because
Perry?
we are doing our top 10 bourbons of 2019.
And I can't miss that.
Oh no, Curtis made a face. Oh no. All right, well, you can do it off the top of your head. We'll go first, and you can kind of pick up. No, it's okay. I'm sorry. I should have reminded you. I thought you knew.
Allstate's not a bourbon. You can't put that on the list.
Allstate shouldn't be on many people's lists, according to Curtis.
Nah.
Yeah, anyway, so we're going to be doing our top 10 bourbon or rise of 2020 or 2019.
If you want to, you can jump in around like 5.
I'll just
There's a
jump
lot.
in it. Yeah, I'll jump
Yeah,
in.
that's fine. That's fine. I've also got some honorable mentions and some most disappointing or worst as well. So, as I did last year as well. But we do start the show out with Flying Blind. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the Flying Blind is this week, Kurt.
Okay.
This is Legent, which I have not had in quite a while, mostly because I did not care for it that much. And upon returning to it, I also did not like it that much.
Oh, okay.
But this was the first bourbon that we reviewed with the three of us this year. Funny enough, though, it didn't happen until April.
Wow.
We had so much other stuff going on at the beginning of the year that we hadn't yet reviewed this, which I think is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But what do you think about it upon returning?
I think it's opened up a little bit. A lot better than the first initial that we did. I don't mind it that as much as you guys, I don't think. Or at least as much as Perry.
I will say I definitely like it better than I did at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So here's how my experience with it went the first couple of times. So we reviewed it. That was the first time I tried it. And then kind of on a whim, within the few days after that episode came out or after we recorded it, I tried it again. And I straight up hated it. I thought it was absolute dumpster fire of a product.
Huh.
And coming back to it now, I really don't feel that strongly about it by any means. I think that it is good. I just don't know if I'm over the moon about it. And actually, I'm going to have to move some stuff around on my on my list now that I've had this one again. But
I think it's a really cool idea. I think it was very creative on how they went about it.
Go back and listen to that episode. We talk way more about it.
Yeah,
as well.
The bourbon inside it, I think, or the whiskey is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to blow you out of the water by any means.
I think really
it's just average.
Yeah,
I think it's average.
I think the win behind this was really the design of this bottle.
Yes, the
this-
idea.
Yeah, I still look at this. If we were giving out design awards
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
for bourbons that came out this year, I think this is the one that I would say was the best design.
I like the new Bakers.
Do you?
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same bottle, so it's...
Huh. It is the same bottle.
Mm-hmm.
The Baker's has a little bit more bottom to it.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's pretty much the same design. Huh. Well. I'll be darned. Anyway.
Which, I mean, why change the bottle, on a product that they aren't going to keep putting out?
Sure. No, this is really kind of surprised me.
What?
This product.
I think I liked it the best out of all three of us when we first had it, but I don't know. I never picked up a bottle. I just kept trying it when it was available.
Do you want to smell it?
Nah, I'm good. Don't tempt me like that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good.
I think it is too. I actually really like the second sip.
I'm just so confused.
This
You
is-
came off very strong against it. And I'm not like that strong against it.
No, this is pleasantly surprising. All right, well, you learn new things about yourself every day of the week.
I suppose so.
Here's some new things to let you guys know about. If you haven't yet left us a new review on iTunes, you can do that. Just do it right in the app. Leave us a 5-star review. Let us know some thoughts about the show. I'll be reading out one of those fantastic reviews later on in the episode. There have been some very, very sweet notes from listeners of the show recently, and I want to thank everybody who has done that. If you have not yet reviewed it or cannot review it, you can always tell a friend about the show. It's a really great way to spread the love around. And the other thing, and it's not solidified yet, but there is a cat meowing outside. No, it's not solidified yet, but I am working diligently on getting next year's live show up and running and our big meetup event and everything. It looks like it's going to be in Lexington this year.
I'm excited.
Which I am just floored by. And I'll talk more about that kind of in the coming weeks. I'm gonna really try to kind of ramp up the production aspect of it and everything, just so we can get people buying tickets and all this, that, and the other. But yeah, I think if everything goes right, and I think it works okay with your schedule too, Curtis. End of April.
Should.
Okay, great. Are you sure?
Yeah, I think it'll work.
Okay, all right. What about May? Is May better?
Nay, it's not bad.
Okay, April it is. End of
May
April.
23rd, I'm getting married, so stay away from that.
Yeah, all right. End of April. That's going to be when we have our next live show, meetup, hangout, get together, extravaganza. That's exactly what we're going to call it this year too.
Oh, okay.
It's a long
Really thought
name.
on that one.
Yeah. Anyway, what have you guys been drinking recently? So I know your list is going to be exponentially shorter then.
Yeah.
Water.
Seltzer water.
Sparkling water?
Yeah.
Dude, how about... That might be my tips and bits.
Seltzer water?
Yeah.
Huh. All right then.
What kind of seltzer water? Hit me with it. What's your thing?
Well, I feel like I'm doing my tips and bits right now, but...
We're having you come up with a lot of stuff on the spot on this episode.
Yeah, sorry
I'll
about
let
that,
you
Kurt.
keep it. It's fine. We'll go.
No,
over it a
tips and
little bit.
bits. No, for real, is like... Sparkling water is really good.
Yeah.
The brand, my specific brand, there's LaCroix, there's Dasani,
Boo.
there's Bubbly. Bubbly is where it's at.
No.
And just the lemon lime, that's great. I feel like the lemon lime's like a great starter to get into sparkling water. Blackberry sparkling water, very good.
See, I've been doing the Meyer brand sparkling water for some reason. Best kind I've had. I have
Really?
no idea why.
Have you had Bubbly?
Not it.
Not
Not it
it?
for me. Not
Really?
it for me.
See, I like that it's not as carbonated.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite end. I wanted to hurt me with carbonation.
Yeah, see, I don't want that.
Yeah. Either way, this is a bourbon podcast. I've actually had nothing since the last time we recorded.
Really?
Let me take that back. I had one small pour of Small Batch Select. Love it. It's phenomenal. I'm so glad that that's
More
additional.
on that later.
Yeah, same here. I'm so glad that that's just a normal thing I can just pick up on the shelf now, and I need to go pick up a bottle ASAP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would dip into that way too much.
I've been drinking Weller Special Reserve. Thank you, Swan. But then also, I've had a Maker's Mark Private Select, which was picked by my boss.
Oh, I can't believe you didn't bring
from the
that.
Marilia collection.
Yeah.
And it is phenomenal.
I really want to try that one.
It's very good. I'll bring it in next episode. I meant to bring it in today, but
Sure.
didn't get to go home.
No, that's all right.
But yeah, it's very good. It's super sweet. It has like 4 baked pure barrel staves because you get to pick which staves go in it. And it's very sweet, very baked goods, very pie, just like very good.
Pie.
Yeah, pie. But that
Sounds good to me.
So I'll bring it in next time. We'll do a review or do something with it. It's very good.
I don't know if we can review it.
We'll at least
taste it.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
talk about it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me tell you, everything that you guys said is fine that you've had recently, but it does not compare to what I got to have the other day.
It's fun. Yeah, what'd you have?
So story time, and by the time this episode comes out, you all will already know it. By the way, we are recording this before Christmas because the holiday season is insane, and actually, it's not even really that great of a bottle. It's just a really cool story. But so I texted Dixon the other day, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to get together for some like holiday pours and everything?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." So while I was at the Beaumont Inn hanging out with him, guy walks in with a delivery of Pappy 23.
Ah.
And Dixon was like, "You want to open it?" I was like, "Dixon, I'm not going to say no to that." And sure enough, he did. So for really the second time ever, got to have Pappy 23.
And?
It's good. Does not warrant the hype.
I feel like we always talk about that.
We always do, but it's a $300 bottle at market. And then on secondary, it runs for $2,500. Not worth it, man. It is very good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I do, and I feel like I liked it more this time around than I did the first time I had it. But it's good.
Yeah, all of the Pappy
that's what-
products are very good.
Yeah.
They're very good. You can't knock it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me that the other day. They were like, "So what do you think about Pappy? What would you say about that?" And I was like, "It's very good. It's overhyped."
It's way overhyped. Yeah. But I did bring some other stuff along to drink with Dixon. I brought my birth year turkey bottle to share with him. The Old Fitz 15 that we reviewed as well. He loved that. And then kind of the redheaded stepchild out of the bunch, which was odd and something that I was kind of hoping wasn't going to happen. But the new Larceny Barrel Proof. So,
Okay.
yeah, more on that at another time.
Sounds good.
Yeah, not currently. But anyway, just a very cool little tasting that I got to do with Dixon. And always love getting to see him and all that. And if you have not made it to the Beaumont Inn yet, go do that. It's really cool. All right. So, no news this week because it's kind of a dead
What?
period for...
No, it's not.
What?
Weller Single Barrel.
Oh, my gosh. Can't believe I
The
forgot.
memes have been unreal.
I can't believe I forgot about Weller Single Barrel. You had that ready to go. Thank you so much.
I did. I was so excited. People are photoshopping the crap out of the TTB label this week.
My favorite has been, and it was just a very poorly done Photoshop, but it was Weller Sweet Potato.
Yeah.
I haven't fully developed my thoughts on this yet,
I have
but I would like to talk through it.
Yeah, I have one thought in particular that's kind of scaring me a little bit.
Okay.
So this one's coming in at 97 proof. It's kind of weird.
But is it, though? That's the
For
thing.
now.
So the big thing that people have been talking about is that on the label it says 46.5% alcohol by volume. But then it says 97 proof.
Mm-hmm.
Now 46.5 is 93 proof,
Yeah.
not 97. So which is going to be the right proof there?
Either way, what's weirding me out about it is them doing a single barrel. I'm scared they're going to stop offering 107 and foolproof picks. Because if they've got a designated, allocated product just for picks and single barrels,
I do not see that happening.
I'm a little worried.
I'll tell you why I'm not worried about that personally. They are, of course, owned by Sazerac.
Mm-hmm.
Sazerac also owns Barton, or 1792. They still offer standard offerings of the single barrel, of their bottom of bond, of their foolproof, while still offering picks for those as well. So
That's true.
I don't see one canceling the others out. I think that I imagine that it's going to be a couple of years before all those details really get ironed out. But I think that, like we didn't really see 107 picks this year. We saw maybe a couple, right? It was predominantly foolproof. So I imagine that what's going to happen is 2020 could very well be the year of those single barrel picks, right? And then we see, once it gets in 21 and 22, then some of the other picks start coming back as well. That's just kind of what I'm imagining is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think you have to worry about those picks going away forever.
I hope not, because a good 107 pick will change you. It's
Amen to
good
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Curtis,
Just a good 107 will change you.
That's not untrue by any means. I think that, everybody's so worried about, not worried about, but kind of up in arms over the fact that, they can't get any of the other Weller products anyway. And now Buffalo Trace is introducing another new expression of it. I get them being frustrated by that, but I don't know. I mean, is it frustration out of just, can't get the allocated products, or just that, Buffalo Trace is doing too much with too little, or what? Because I don't mind seeing a new product introduced to the line or to the market.
Well, I'm fine with it. Nobody goes nuts when E.H. Taylor does the same thing, and they put out a new one every year or 2 years. I think Weller's just been so sought after, because, if I went in and I asked a liquor store owner, do you guys have any E.H. Taylor in? They're like, we had some in 2 weeks ago, and that's about it. If I went in and asked if they had Weller, they'd roll their eyes profusely at me and be like, no, and I'd have to leave. It's just, it's so sought after and asked about that, that's the one that people get upset about.
Yeah. And it's always funny when you walk into a liquor store and they go, can I help you find anything? Well, I can't say it. I
I've got a trick for that. I go over
Really?
to the shelf and I look for something that they're missing, and I was like, I was really coming in for Wild Turkey 101 handles, you're out. And then I'm like, and I leave after that because I don't want to look at the shelf and be like, do you guys have any Weller, E.H. Taylor, Eagle Rare, this, that, and the other? Old Fitz 15. Do you have any of this? And they just look at me like, no.
Oh, I always just walk in. They ask me and I go, no, I'm just looking.
I do the same thing.
Yeah,
but not that I'm going and, expecting or really hunting for any of those products anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot. What's the point? If it's there as a nice surprise, great. But otherwise, I know it's not going to be there.
Yeah.
It's a little rough. Sometimes you do have to ask, though. They won't put it out. They'll just be sitting behind the counter.
That is very true.
Yeah.
But
why have you adopted this position, Swan?
I'm kind of cold. I need to put my jacket back on.
I thought you were angry. So he's got his arms crossed.
I don't have anything to hold. What am I supposed to do?
You got water. With both hands.
Got it.
Held with both hands. All right. That's very strange looking.
Secured it.
Yeah. I don't know. I am kind of excited for this product. I don't think that it's definitely not going to revolutionize anything, but I also don't think that it's going to be detrimental to the market.
No. And with as much as they're expanding, hopefully every year they're getting more and more Weller to produce. So even if they're not reducing the others, at least they're putting out the same amount.
For sure. We'll see, though. I guess that's the only real news for this week.
Yeah, that's about it. I saw a Weller pickle, one that they did. Honey.
Weller Honey was the big one.
Honey was a fun one, yeah. Adam Terry made one called Swan Juice.
Do you think it's frothy?
I'm sure it is. But, yeah.
Anyway.
Oof.
Guys, it's the new year, and there is no better way to ring it in than with the bourbon experience of a lifetime in the Bluegrass Commonwealth.
Ain't that the truth, though?
Ain't it? As we established last week, it is the Commonwealth, not a state.
Yes.
Or a... Yeah. Anyway, so Distilled Experiences is our sponsor, of course, this week, and they are located in Lexington, Kentucky. I've had the good fortune of working with Distilled Experiences and Nate, the founder, for quite a while now. It is a really fantastic and exclusive way to check out everything that the bourbon industry has to offer in the way that Kentucky has embraced it. And you can actually book your tours, both either private or public, over at distilledexperiences.com. You can use the code MyBourbonPodcast for 10% off any of those public tours. And the private tours are also really great. It's a really intimate way to find out exactly, how much you could love Kentucky. So if you want to have maybe a little
How much you will.
How much you will love Kentucky. That's the thing, is that you might not love it yet.
But you will.
But you very well will.
Oh, man.
Struggle today.
You're going to love it.
Yes, you will.
It's great. Tony the Tiger.
Such enthusiasm from the non-drinker today.
Yeah, no. The bourbon helps, I'm not going to lie. But you get that on the tours, so.
That is very, very true. Yeah, and you might just have the opportunity to have little old Pear Bear himself be your tour guide for the day. So one more time, distilledexperiences.com, and you can use the code MyBourbonPodcast to check out for 10% off any public tour. Back to the show?
Back to the show.
Back to the show. Well, shall we move on to our best, worst, and honorable mentions of 2019?
Yeah, what do you want to start with?
I am going to start with my most disappointing or my worst, just so we can kind of move on from there.
Oh, I've got one in particular I was kind of like iffy about.
Okay.
Teresa's batch, Booker's.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan. Tasted soapy to me. I don't know. It just wasn't great. Like, I always get excited about a new batch of Booker's, and then when I get to try it, this year's just been kind of rough for Booker's. None of them have really stood out as like this is the one. But Teresa's batch was standing out in the opposite direction for me. That one specifically did not resonate well with me and a few of the other listeners as well.
Sure.
In particular, Monica. I know Monica loved it. But I don't know. That was just one of the worst bottles I tried this year.
Yeah.
At least I shouldn't say worst. I should say worst as far as my expectations being high and then trying it and it just falling so flat compared to those expectations.
I honestly, I lumped in most of the Bookers from 2019.
Really?
As my most disappointing. I really did love Shiny Barrel Batch.
Yeah.
I thought Beaten Biscuits was very good too, but nothing out of that, which is just, it sucks because I had high hopes for 2019 Bookers after the 2018 releases.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in there blew me away,
Yeah, it was all good. It just nothing great.
Yeah, and the same thing can be said for this year's Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs. I
thought I would say those were probably a little better for me, but
here's what happened, I think, with me. Our number one bourbon last year, at least mine and Swan's, was Elijah Craig C918. So. Yeah, exactly. And it, maybe it was just coming off that high where I was thinking, 2019 is going to be just as good as C918, or at least, kind of around that quality.
Yeah.
And nothing really lived up to it. I thought the B519 was probably the best out of the three, but even then it wasn't truly anything to write home about or take huge note of. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
The two staples that I felt like should have really held true for me this year just kind of straight up didn't.
Yeah. You know what? One of mine was the Dickel.
The The Dickel Bourbon and Bond.
Yeah.
That's actually on my list.
You know,
Just like,
add that to mine.
I just don't
I mean,
get it.
I don't get
I
it
don't
either.
get it.
It's popcorn. It's buttered popcorn. It's like not what I want in a bourbon.
No.
Um,
What was it that
but it was number one on the
for Whiskey
Whiskey
Advocate,
which we talked about. But
Swan made
that is wild to me.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was unique and different, but
but not near.
not. It was one that I always was just kind of. I don't know how I feel about this. Like I would probably put the Legion way above that, probably.
Yeah. It's funny because after having the Legions again, originally it was on my worst / most disappointing list. I took it off.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't think I like it enough to put it on honorable mentions. But I do want to mention it as a product that I still enjoyed.
Yeah.
And it's funny how coming back to it after all this time, I realized not that bad.
Yeah.
Not that bad.
Now you're pouring what?
So this is the Old Fitz 13-year
And
decanter.
was this released this year?
This was indeed. This was the spring release
Okay.
of the Old Fitz Bottled and Bond.
Yeah.
The fall release was the 15-year, which actually you can try some of after this too if you want, Kurt.
I think I had did I have the 15?
You've not had the 15-year.
Okay,
yet.
I've only had this one.
Yes. Yeah, this was easily one of my favorite bottles that came out this year. Well, more on that later. Here's a couple of shockers from me as far as disappointments.
Best bottle for me goes to the Old Fitz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Old style decanter.
Yeah. Yeah. Two that and like really as I was thinking about it, it made sense why they made it onto my list for worst / most disappointing, but because I just didn't really enjoy them that much, and I thought that I don't know. Anyway, the first one was the E.H. Taylor Amaranth, which I don't think either of you guys have had.
Mm-hmm.
But it just... So the Amaranth was the grain of the gods, and it replaced rye in the mash bill as the flavoring agent, and it was not horrible.
Heard it was earthy.
It's really earthy, and I didn't quite enjoy it in the way that I was hoping I was going to, but I think that was one of the ones I was most disappointed about for sure. The other, I'm going to catch flack for this, and it has been a long time since I've had it, but the Russell's 2002, I was not a fan of it. Yeah. Really, truly not a fan of it. I actually reviewed it with Dave Jennings way back at the beginning of the year. That was actually the first episode that came out in 2019, and I just didn't care for it.
It's oaky.
It is
big time.
Yeah, I think it was oaky to the point of bitter, like overly tannic. Mm-hmm. So
very much different, though. I'll give it that. But again, going back to the Dickel Bottled and Bond, just because it's different doesn't mean it's great.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. Oh, this Old Fitz 13 is so good.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, man.
Now, would you put this on honorable mention? Or
this is
it
yes.
on your top?
This is not in my top 10. This is in my honorable mentions, though. So I guess I'm pretty much done with worst or most disappointing, unless you guys have anything else you wanted to.
No, the one that
there.
sticks out to me is the Dickel.
Yeah, that was I think the kind of the big one for most of us. Yeah. Honorable mentions. Rebel Yell 100.
That's on mine.
My first one for honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah,
really good product. $20 weeder at 100 proof. Hit something in the market that I don't think was ever really considered by anybody else. But I think it's great. I think I'm going to wind up probably turning it into, if not a daily drinker, at least a semi-daily drinker, or one that I keep around pretty regularly. I mean, it's kind of hard not to with a weeded product at that price and that proof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one for me is Old Forester Rye.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't put it on my honorable mentions. I didn't care for it as much because of the malt content, but I could definitely see why it's a kind of a really beginner's rye and friendly. And honestly, probably taking the stand for best rye to put in a cocktail for me over Rittenhouse. 'Cause that's been
Wow.
that's kind of a staple.
That's
Was
a
Rittenhouse.
big statement there, man.
Yeah, I like it in a lot of different cocktails. I've had it in a few already where I've actually had them sub it in, and it was pretty good.
That's awesome. All right. WB Saffel is next for me. Actually, that reminds me. I missed one on my most disappointing. Bond and Lillard Batch 2. Horrible.
Oh.
No good. I
Not a
reviewed
fan.
it with Chad, and I think I gave it a 7 out of 20.
Whew.
Wow. That is
If
bad.
I remember correctly. But the WB Saffel was also, I apologize, Maria's in the background just going bananas for no reason. So that's what you're hearing. But no, I loved the Saffel. I thought it was really good. I just thought there were other things that came out that were better than it. Swan, do you have anyone you want to throw in here?
The Baker's 7 single barrel picks.
As your honorable mention?
Yeah, that's my honorable mention.
I'll throw that in there too.
Yeah, I feel like that was a pretty good one. And also in mine, I had the Little Book as an honorable mention.
I'll talk about Little Book a little bit later.
Yeah.
I also had Discovery and Fusion from my...
True.
Yeah, both of those.
Both of them really solid. But it just... there was one other one that really stuck out for me in 2019 that made it into my top 10 list. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
later
honestly, all of Bardstown Bourbon Company for me, it's a strong honorable mention because we talked about this last year. It's their first attempt. You know, they're really coming out with their new products and stuff, and they're blending, and they're really being transparent about it and showing the world that blending's a great thing if you do it correctly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And Dixon's been doing that, but I don't think he's been nearly as boldly transparent as Bardstown Bourbon Company has been. I mean, they slap it all over their label what they're doing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's great.
Yeah,
they've had so many collaborations and
yeah, and they've had some that unfortunately at the end of the year I wasn't able to get to try. I mean, they had one with Goodwood, they had one with Copper and Kings, and
they had 2 with Copper and Kings.
Did they?
Yeah, and then
I thought
they
it was just the one.
No, they had I think they had a purple and a red and an orange for that was Goodwood, and then they just did another one which was wine finished.
Prisoner wine. That's right. Yeah. I haven't tried that one yet either.
Me
but
neither.
It seems like people really have enjoyed everything else that's come out so far with their collaboration series.
Yeah.
Confiscated and Rye Batch 3. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both from Kentucky Owl. I loved both of those products. Absolutely just chef's kiss. French Oak, the Old Charter French Oak. I don't think you guys have
No, I
had
didn't get
that.
to try that one.
I got to try that way back at Whiskey Weekend Batch 1 with the podcast guys, and it was no bones about it. It was very good, and maybe it's just because I don't remember it that well, but it wasn't the one that stuck out the most for me. I just know that it was, a truly solid product, and I think that that Buffalo Trace has been doing a really cool thing with their Old Charter series.
They definitely have. I like seeing them stray away a little more from the experimental series and really putting some of these out there under their own name.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been doing that a lot. That Mongolian oak, and then they did the French oak, and then what else? They've done single oak project stuff that's been kind of, different. But they've not put out any of that 6 grain yet under its own label. I'm waiting for that.
That'll be something.
Could you imagine like an E.H. Taylor 6 grain?
No.
It'd be weird. It'd be weird. People go nuts. 6 grains? Oh my God, that's gonna be worth so much on secondary.
I just realized now too that I actually did have the Baker single barrel in my honorable mentions.
Good, it's worth it.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention, Swan?
No,
that's all I got. I got 2 more, and then we'll move into our top 10 or top 5, depending on who you are in this room.
Yeah.
Booker's Shiny Barrel Batch. Loved it. Thought it was great. Didn't think it was quite good enough to crack the top 10. And then this year's Thomas H. Handy.
Yeah. No, that was strong.
Very, very good.
Very strong.
Very good. But again, there was one that truly won out from the antique collection for me, and that is in my.
I think it
top
was for
10.
all of us, probably.
Yeah, probably more than likely. So the moment has come. Well, the first of 10 moments
Yes.
has come. Swan,
Or 5.
would you like to do the honors? Or 5, yes, correct. Would you like to do the honors and kick us off?
So I think my list is going to be kind of controversial, but this is what I enjoyed this year. So number 10 for me was the Four Roses Small Batch Select.
I have it on my list a little bit higher than you, though. Yeah. My number 10 was actually the Wilderness Trail Rye Bourbon.
Okay, yeah.
It was so good, man.
The picks of
Picks
those
were fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, as good as their wheated bourbon was, I think the rye bourbon is really where their future is going to lie, depending on what they want to do with it. So that's number 10 for me. Number 9 is the Pfeiffer Pavitt Reserve.
That's the one you wanted. Yeah. No, that's a strong one. It's good. That one falls in the honorable mention for me. My number 9 is actually the E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof from this year.
It's a little bit higher for me, too.
Yeah, no. I don't know.
That's so funny.
Yeah, no, it's that stuff is just so good. It really is one of the most well-rounded E.H. Taylor Barrel Proofs I've had. I mean, usually they jut out in one direction, like super floral and fruity and kind of light, but and then there's other ones where it's like, this is almost Stag Junior territory. It feels like it wants to hurt me. This one had a little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, it was just all around the flavor wheel.
I agree with that. What was your number 8?
Let's see. My number 8 was the Four Roses Limited Edition from this year.
Four Roses Limited Edition actually made it into my honorable mentions this year.
Gotcha. This one had some flavor profile stuff going on with it that if you picked up on it and it wasn't your thing, you kind of immediately dismissed it. Mm-hmm. Like a little bit of mintiness in this one that I got. Some people are not big fans of that.
Yeah. I thought some of the, what were they? Kind of the tannic flavors that were coming in from that older Four Roses that they had thrown in there too. I thought it helped. I thought it made it a really good product, but I just wasn't necessarily my favorite thing.
Yeah, I am proud of them for really kind of jutting out a different way from last year's. The 130 was very specific and brought a lot of influence to Small Batch Select.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was very different.
Well, my number 8 is the Maker's RC6, which was their first in the Toasted Wood collection, which I thought it was just a knockout for me, and really a surprise one at that too. I don't, it's not that Makers is doing bad things, but I don't ever really anticipate a whole lot from what I get from Makers, and this one just blew me away.
Yeah, it was strong. That would probably be honorable mention or below. I wasn't actually a huge fan of the RC6. I thought it was good, but it was definitely one of the stronger Makers that I've had, because I generally stay away from Makers in general. But it was good. I wouldn't mind finding another bottle for me of that, because the price point was also pretty decent on this one.
Oh, yeah. It was what, like $60?
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
It was really good. Yeah. Number 7, Little Book 3.
Oh, okay.
I loved this bottle.
You really did.
I know you guys were like, it's not as good as Perry's making it out to be, but oh, man. This is good stuff.
When did we try that?
About a month and a half ago.
Okay,
maybe.
Yeah, I was just making sure it was the one I was thinking.
Yeah.
Mine was the Parker's Heritage Heavy Char Rye.
That was your number 7?
Yep.
That was my number 6.
Yeah. It's phenomenal.
It's so good.
It's phenomenal.
And this is so funny because like if the Parker's Rye is my number 6, the top 5 are just like out of this world good.
No, I think that was one of the first things I had this year that really just put me back in my seat, and I was immediately like, this is phenomenal, from the neck pour that we had from it. Because a lot of them I had to spend some time with before I really decided this is amazing, and I want this constantly if I can have it. And that, what was it? Char 5 on the barrel?
Yes.
I'd love to see more stuff done with that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it wasn't a rye.
Okay, so I kind of jumped ahead and I said that was my number 6. What was your number 6 one?
George C. Stagg.
Mmm.
Yeah, the George C. Stagg from this year.
Stagg didn't make it onto any of my lists this year.
See, I really liked it, and it kind of kills me because there's a lot of people throwing a fit over the proof.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. Stagg's always been the stereotypical, like, this is a man's bourbon. Yeah, it's going to put some chest hair on you. And then it comes out, and it's like kind of Maker's barrel proof territory where it's really not up there a ton. It's 116.9, I think, this year. Something like that.
I think it's 116.8 or 4.
Yeah, it's some.
It does
116 plus a little. But I think it's amazing this year.
Oh. You were right. I'm sorry.
Heck
116.9.
I think it's definitely worth picking up because it's the cheaper of and William LaRue Weller if you can get it. Even at secondary, this one's starting to get almost worth it to me, but I would still, if you could get under 200, for sure grab it.
Yeah.
Because it gets astronomical on some, depending on where you're at, especially. I know New York prices are insane. Steven's told me about that a few times.
Yes.
But
yeah. Well, that takes us to our top 5. Kurt, do you want to go first with your top 5?
No.
No? All right. Swan?
All right, this one's the controversial one for me. The Maker's Mark Keeneland.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Swan loved
it. Yeah, no, I actually I went back to Keeneland Mercantile and bought another bottle.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, no, I went back and bought another one. And I still have a little bit left. I've already gone through a whole bottle and a half one almost. Yeah, it was one of my favorites from this year. I've been on kind of a coffee adventure this year, trying to teach myself to like it, and that was one of the most coffee heavy bourbons I had this year. And I was like, what is it about this bottle that I don't understand and that I don't hate? Like, it's cinnamon and coffee. And then I realized,
like cocoa, like mocha,
yeah, and I've been trying that all year. Still not a huge coffee fan, but I'm getting there. And that little bit that it had in it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I really liked it. Didn't like it in old fashioned. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't think
interesting.
It's
that doesn't
I don't think it's an old
really
fashioned.
surprise me.
No, they did some old fashions that were very nicely made, but just not my favorite.
What about a Keeneland Breeze? I bet it'd be really good with a Keeneland Breeze.
I'm sure it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you say it, like, I'm kind of thinking that might be a number 5. Like, more on the like,
try what you're holding right now and then make sure that's sure that's not going to make it up there.
Because this is actually my number 5, and this is the Old Fitz 15 year. It's yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I've never had this, so
it's stupid good. I mean, there was the potential for it to be even higher than I know.
This is going to be high on mine, especially since I only am having 5.
Yeah, I mean, like it just straight out of the gate blew me away. That finish is
great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean, I
nose,
honestly. You know, and I said this before. I got this 200 ml sample from Heaven Hill. I'm kind of thinking about trying to find a full bottle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Really, truly.
You did score this a little bit better than I did. I think you and Chad both had like 1.5, 2 points higher than I did.
This is definitely going to be higher for me. I'm going to stick...
I like talking you through what your top 5 might be. I think that's really a fun way
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's coerce you a little bit into...
Yeah, no, I appreciate
that. Bribe him with bourbon.
Because this, I was not prepared to do this tonight.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry. I should.
No, I mean, I should have known. But I mean, this is good. This is like probably top 3, maybe. Mm-hmm. So for number 5, I think I'm going to stick with the Keeneland Maker's Mark Private Select because it was. I mean, it's just very that rich kind of dessert coffee mocha.
Yeah,
cocoa. And that's one I've like spent a lot of time with too.
Oh, sure, for sure.
So I think 5, since I'm only having 5, I'm going to go for like a range of things a little bit.
That's fair. Yeah.
And I think that's a solid
It
pick.
really was fantastic. I'm sorry I didn't mention it anywhere, but it was not one that I didn't.
I'm not being paid to.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. It's not one that I
guess
didn't not enjoy, because I really did enjoy it.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy. I did enjoy it.
Perry thought it was good.
I thought it was good. Thank you, Swan. Yeah, got me out of that hole. Number 4, finally making a return to my top 10 list. The William LaRue Weller
Okay.
from 2019. I thought that it was the best out of
It's the best of the
anything
lineup.
in the BTAC lineup this year. The second definitely being the Handy. As my voice cracks.
Yeah.
Like I'm 13.
That's all right, though.
Nothing says voice crack like saying Handy. Sorry.
That's funny.
I apologize.
Okay.
No, it's my number 4. I really thought this year's Weller was a step up from last year. I didn't think it was quite nearly as good as the 2017, of course. But it was something special this year. I really did think so. And, maybe it was also because we were kind of comparing it to the other stuff that was in the lineup, and, not everything was our favorite.
Yeah.
Igor 17, but that's a different conversation. Anyway, I just really, really, truly loved it. I did. 4 for you guys?
4 for me was Baker's 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
Woo.
I really enjoyed the Baker's 13 this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sad that they're going to be changing it every year, because they've already kind of rumored that it's probably not going to be a Baker's 13 every single year.
Yeah.
If they did every single year a Baker's 13 release, I would love that. It was very oaky. Don't get me wrong. If you don't like oak, that one, it kind of hits you a little bit. But I've already put another one on my list that you said the tannins kind of stood out to you. So maybe that's just kind of where I lean, is that oakier presence. But it really surprised you. It drinks kind of hot at first as well. But second sip in, it's phenomenal.
So the reason that I didn't put Baker's 13 on my list was because I thought it was way too bitter. Just straight up, I thought it was way too bitter. And, I had it after a few different pours with Chad, but at the same time, it just didn't stand out to me. And it wasn't that I was really disappointed by it. I just didn't like it. Mm-hmm. That's just me,
Well, it kind of it leans towards that camp of Russell's 2002 a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just enough for me. Like, for me, like, the Baker's 13 is what Russell's 2002 was trying to be, but they let it sit a little too long. It's kind of what it reminds me of, but I really enjoyed it. If you like that kind of oakier stuff, go for it. Definitely see if you can find one.
And I don't dislike oaky bourbons either.
No.
I quite enjoy them. But this one just didn't do it for me.
And it could be the 107 proof. A lot of people have kind of said that that's not necessarily their favorite. Especially with like the 7-year release that they've been putting out.
Yeah, for sure. Kurt, 4?
So 4 for me, I am going to go with New Riff. New Riff has just been
New Riff in general?
Yeah, just New Riff in general. I think it's just an amazing up-and-comer. I think it's going to be like...
It'll be huge.
I think it'll be huge in the future. And particularly, like, if we're talking like some picks and stuff like that, the Riff and Morty that I had, I don't know. There's just New Riff has been kind of. It originally started that I liked Wilderness Trail better,
but you've moved into the New Riff.
But I've moved into the New Riff lately.
Yeah, I don't know if I disagree with you, but at the same time, Wilderness Trail holds a very special.
It does for me
place
as well.
In my heart.
Yeah.
Also, pause for cork pop. Not too far off.
Yeah.
About 2 notes. So this is, I haven't even explained what this bottle is. So not just pause for cork pop, pause for bottle information. This was my Christmas gift from Tammy and Brian Brennicky. This is a Russell's pick from Camp Nelson F. I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about this bottle. Kurt, you go ahead and pour yourself a little bit. Swan, I'm sorry that we're doing this.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. So I think New Riff just in general as a whole has been, I'm sure a little bit of a cop out, but
I'll give it to you. Considering that this was thrust upon you in the throes of everything else that you were doing.
But New Riff, it's been... If I really sat down, it would probably become an honorable mention.
Sure.
But...
Well, there's no shame in it because we've got a listener, Ian. I don't know if you've met him yet, but he came down to hang out with Perry and I. And most people, when they bring down, like a good assortment of bourbons and stuff, they bring like Dustin. He'll come down with 10, 15 different bourbons. I kid you not, he came down with 6 bottles of New Riff.
Really?
Yeah. And you can literally just work your way around the flavor wheel with all 4 of your product, all barrel proof, all picks. It's crazy how much range they have coming out of that.
Yeah.
And then just the customization you can do to those bottles is insane.
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious.
Adam Terry did, who we've talked about before, even just on this episode, he did a pick with his local group in Nashville. Mm-hmm. We called it Riff Busters.
Yeah.
And he dipped it in glow-in-the-dark green wax.
You're kidding.
So it's like Slimer.
No way.
Yeah.
Dang. Do they still have bottles of that?
I think it's sold out.
We can always ask him, though.
Mm-hmm.
We'll ask him.
That's so
Don't get too discouraged.
That's so
yet.
cool.
I know, right? Yeah. Anyway, Swan, you said your number 4 was...
My number 4 was the Baker's 13.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. So what was your number 3?
Elijah Craig B519.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a huge fanboy for Elijah Craig. Even in one of what I would consider their worst year since I've been drinking bourbon as far as consistent releases, the B519 for me was still great. I sat down with 2 of the releases and the little sample bottle of the C9 that I had about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was almost upset by the other 2. This one just stood out as amazing. And then I tried it against the Maker's Keeneland just to make sure I kind of felt that it was strong, and it was a lot better for me.
Okay.
It's what I wanted from a Elijah Craig barrel proof. The ones that have really stuck out to me in recent years, the ones that kind of go a little off profile and get a little different, this one's very much on profile to me. It's just the regular release cranked up to 11.
Yeah.
But I love that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Okay. Barry, you did your 4, right?
I did do my 4, yes.
Gotcha. Well, my 3 is going to be the Little Book 3.
Okay. I still think it was...
That one's very good.
I can't disagree with you. And I really kind of fumbled around for a little bit trying to figure out, what was going to be my top 10 and everything. And it originally kind of scored much higher, but once I looked at everything that I had on my list, it just didn't quite make the cut. But at the same time, it's so good, man.
Yeah.
My number 3 is a Kentucky Owl Bourbon Batch 9.
Strong contender.
And look, if that's my number 3, my top 2 were, for me, just they blew me away, really, truly. And I very well might catch some flack for my number 1.
Me too. Yeah, can't wait for it.
This has been a strange year of bourbon releases for me, but every time that and I haven't even done number 2 yet, but every time that I thought about my number 1, I couldn't stop thinking about it until I had it. So I'll get there. Yeah. But anyway, my number 3 was Al Bourbon Batch 9. Just a flavor bomb. It was caramelly and marshmallowy, and it was smooth and sweet and spicy all at the same time, and it just was so well balanced. And I know it sounds like I'm describing my number 1 already, but it was fantastic. Just an out of this world bourbon.
Yeah.
For sure.
Would you get a full bottle of that if you got the chance?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Swan goes, well, if you would, I have a bottle right here.
I've just got a backpack full. You
At the
want one?
low price.
I would love to.
It's pricey, very much justified by the price.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is $300 at market. All right. Number 2. Curtis, you went back for the Old Fitz 15.
I did. If that's not foreshadowing.
Yeah, I know, right?
Obviously a little bit of recency bias, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. All right. Number 2. Can we go first?
Yeah.
E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof.
Really? Okay.
Loved it. Loved it. And I always love E.H. Taylor products.
Mm-hmm.
But this year's Taylor Barrel Proof, and I love last year's too.
This one was special, though.
Yeah. I think this one really blew it away. This one was just a dream of a bourbon.
Yeah.
They killed it. They really, really killed it.
I mean, I look forward to it every year, but I'm kind of upset I didn't get myself a bottle this year. But
do you want the one you got me?
No, absolutely not. Hey, if it's ranking number 8 for me, or I'm sorry, number 9, and it's ranking 2 for you, I think it's got a good home. Yeah, no, it's totally fine. But it was good. Dustin popped his when he was over at the house, and I tried it. And I was like, oh man, this is so good. I might have made a mistake here.
Curtis, I see you vigorously debating over there.
Yeah.
Between your number 1 and your number 2.
Yeah. Oh man. Have we given both our number 2s?
Yeah, we're waiting on you, buddy.
You're waiting on. It's your turn.
Always waiting on me. Oh man. All right, number 2, I'm gonna go with the Thomas H. Handy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thomas Handy beat out William LaRue Weller for this year.
It did.
That is amazing.
I know that's crazy.
Woo-wee.
It's just the
Zooey mama.
It's the notes that come with it. It's the like minty kind of fresh that I just it's really good. It's super unique.
I lied about saying my number 2, by the way. I just wanted you to be decisive. You were on it. I was really proud of you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I usually don't go for a rye whiskey. Usually not my go-to.
I know you do.
Not a big fan, but this one, there's something different about it. It's just refreshing to me. Mm-hmm. That a lot of other kind of bourbons haven't done for me.
Now, I know I put it in my honorable mentions, but I mean, really, if I looked at it, that would probably have been my number 11.
Yeah.
If I did a top 20.
Yeah.
But it's so good, man.
It's very good.
It's so good.
And keep in mind, my top 5 is like ranging from, New Riff to Thomas H. Handy to, so keep that in mind, like Little Book. But it's really good.
I still got my number 2. You ready?
Oh, you haven't said yours yet?
No, I just wanted him to make a decision. He was on it. William LaRue Weller for me.
Dang,
yeah,
man.
Number 2.
I know what your number 1 is now.
What is it? No, I'm just kidding. I know what it is.
I know because we have really talked about our top 10 this year.
So you know it's controversial.
Oh, maybe it isn't. Maybe I don't know what it is.
We'll get to it in a minute.
Okay,
but
it's fine.
This year's William LaRue Weller,
fabulous.
Nothing wrong with it.
No.
I mean, it was out of the 5 that we tried for the BTAC collection. That one just lit me up.
I'd say the only thing that was wrong with it is that it wasn't the 2017. But even still,
it wasn't the 2017, and I don't have a full bottle of it.
Those
are the 2 big problems.
There you go. Okay, number 1. Listeners have probably figured out what my number 1 is by now because I did talk about it when you were starting your list, Swan.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to go first. Curtis?
Me? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you go first.
Number 1 is going to be the William Lou Weller.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Man.
So I wasn't that crazy in putting number 2 at Thomas H.
I don't think so either. I really, those are the two best from the BTAC lineup this year. Yeah.
Because the Stag was like, it just fell short.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, you loved it. And sometimes I always struggle with this a little bit with the BTAC collection because I don't always want to have that be on my, like, you know, my top 1 or 2 or anything like that. But I mean, consistently, they always are putting out good stuff.
I mean, you've got to go with what you think is the best.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, there's just no other way around it.
And I will say that this Old Fitz, and I will probably, thinking about this more, I would probably put the Old Fitz as number 2. I was thinking about putting Old Fitz at the number 1, but yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to have a top 6, and it's going to be...
traditional David Letterman top 6 segment.
Yes, exactly.
The late
so
show.
number 1 is William LaRue Weller. Number 2 is going to be the Old Fitz. Number 3 is going to be the Thomas H. Handy.
Fair enough. That's really interesting that 2 wheated bourbons made your top 2 for 2019.
Is it though? Because usually that's what my palate goes towards.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you really enjoy that Rebel Yell 10.
Yes. But that wasn't this year, was it?
No. But they do different releases.
Yeah.
Each release is a little different.
All right, Swan.
I'll let you go last, Perry.
Thank you.
My number 1 was Rare Breed LLGC.
Oh, that's not what I thought your number 1 was.
No. My number 1 was Rare Breed. I have been flipping over every single bottle of Rare Breed this year looking for a specific laser code, LLGC. I have been nuts for it. So I've gone through 3 bottles of this stuff, which I don't drink as much nearly as I used to, but with that one, I made an exception, and I'm down to like probably 2 ounces in my last bottle. And I've been doing it with literally every store I go into. I get so excited to see the Rare Breed, and I flip it over, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then I go to the next one, and I will do, if they have 15 bottles, I will turn over every single bottle looking for it. It was rumored to have some 15-year mixed in with it. Rare Bird 101 could probably tell me otherwise, but either way, that specific laser code I've tried this year, and along with a couple of others at bars and stuff, and it's just stood out as phenomenal to me. This year's just been a good year for Turkey and Four Roses. Lawrenceburg's been having it. They've been going nuts. But I've enjoyed it.
Well, speaking of Four Roses. The Four Roses Small Batch Select was my number 1 bourbon of 2019.
That's shocking.
It is. And here's why I love it so much. Again, every time that I think about that bourbon, I get in the mood for it. It's accessible. It's a great proof. I really think it's a great price.
It is.
And it provides such a well-rounded, oily, delicious mouthfeel in bourbon. Just in general, I think that Four Roses did everything right with this product. It scratched an itch that we didn't even really know we had with an affordable, non-chill filtered, kind of middle high tier proof bourbon. It just, knowing that I will be able to get this product from here on out, that excites me so much. Really, truly. And this is the first product that Brent Elliott has come out with since he's been, the first regular product that he's come out with since he's been the master distiller of Four Roses.
And he could not have killed it any more than he did.
No.
It's great.
I know that I have had, I would say maybe more unique bourbons this year. I've had products that I think might have had more flavor to them. But when I think about what is going to be a long-standing product, and the fact that I do get so excited over the small batch select, nothing compares to it out of everything that came out this year. And I seriously, when I was thinking about this and I was making my notes and I was going back and doing my research and everything kept coming up for Rosa's small batch select. And so there was really no question for me when I developed my list. It was really working backwards from one. So it's a kind of out of left field for me.
I'm fine with it. If something on your number one spot is accessible and anyone can go grab it, who's mad at that?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Who was mad at that?
Really,
You know, and we have actually caught flack before too, when we've said, you know, Weller was the WLW was our number one, or, you know, C918 isn't as accessible as we would have liked for it to be. It may be our favorite Craig barrel proof, but, you know, you can't just go out and get it. But this just screamed everybody did everything right at Four Roses to make this product happen. And so I'm going to fight for this one. Really. I feel that somebody's going to say, can't believe that you said that, but
yeah.
I'm gonna stand my ground on this one.
But also maybe you won't have to fight for it.
Or maybe I won't. That's very true. But, you know, when you're in the same company as an E.H. Taylor barrel proof and Kentucky Owl bourbon in your top three, I mean, there's so many good things to be said about all three of those products. And, you know, I don't know.
You love it, man.
I love it.
It's your number one.
It's my number one.
I'm on board.
And I'm just happy that, again, it's not going away after this year. Anyway, that's just me.
Yeah? Nah, I think that's great.
You know what's funny? I just looked at my list. All but one of these are batched.
Really?
There's only one single barrel, Keeneland.
And
even then, those are wild consistent.
Oh, it's literally the same, yeah. If I'm going more into a top 10, I'm probably gonna add it was on the tip of the tongue. I've been terrible lately.
No, that's okay.
Okay, Confiscated, sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I'm going more into my top 10, Confiscated's probably around like a 7.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I really thought that was something that was a void in the market. There was nothing there, like, as far as Kentucky Owl is concerned with.
Yeah.
You don't really see but prior to that, you had never seen anything like that.
No.
And now having more of a bourbon type, not just the rye Kentucky Owl whiskey, it was really good.
No, I think that.
And I think some people were shocked a little bit.
Yeah.
They were like, whoa, this is so good. But
there were a lot of naysayers about Confiscated as well.
Every Facebook group that I'm a part of that's bourbon related, they're like, hey, should I get this? And they post a picture of Confiscated at like Costco at a good price.
Yeah.
And people are like, no, I don't get it. No, don't get it. No, don't get it.
Why?
And you want to ask those people, it's like, did you drink this? Did you actually try it?
Well,
and
everybody's problem with it is that it's a premium bourbon that's non-age stated and fairly low proof. So at 96.4 and no age statement, but it's at market $130.
I guess price-wise, yes, maybe it's a little.
Yeah, no,
I'll agree with that.
It's not the best price. Yeah, but at the same time, you know, if you are looking to get somebody a Kentucky Owl product, Confiscated is a great way to go about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go much. What am I trying to say?
You can't get much better than that.
You can't go wrong with it. I think that's what I was trying to say. So
I think it was one of just those ones that I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I would not have went for this, but I also didn't pay $130 for it.
Yeah, exactly. I never did either. I got really lucky with it.
Yeah,
Everything was either at a bargain or I won it in a raffle. So
yeah,
can't be too mad about it. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to my guns on this one. May not be the most popular choice, but Four Roses Small Batch Select was easily the winner for me.
Yeah, if I had to pick number one runner-ups, for me it'd be Thomas Handy and the Discovery Series from Bardstown Bourbon Company. There was a lot of strong stuff this year. I came into this list when I was doing it the other day thinking, there wasn't really much that stood out. And then I got into it and I was like, oh, it's because everything was amazing. Yeah, no, nothing stands out when it's all perfection.
It's good.
Yeah, no, it was hard. It really was this year. I think I had an easier time last year because I made a top 6 because those were the 6 that stood out to me. And now I've got let me pick out of the 30 amazing bourbons I had, which one really stands out. I didn't even mention Weller Foolproof, and some of those picks are good. I mean, it's just, there's so much that went on this year.
Yeah, and this was kind of the year for me of maybe a little bit overwhelmed by how much there was to try and sample and everything. So, it was all very good. But
you gotta have a number one.
Four Roses Small Batch Select was my number one. So that's it. 2019's in the bag. But we're not done with this episode yet.
We secured it.
We did it.
Secured that
Locked
bag.
it in.
Yeah.
Threw away the key. We're not done yet, though. We do have our newest segment, which I actually misnamed.
Okay.
So this was suggested to us, the name for it at least was suggested to us by Wishful Whiskey, or Brian, over on Instagram. And I misread it originally as bourbon rings. But guess what? It was supposed to be barrel rings. Like a normal thing, like a real thing that exists. So this segment is now corrected to be called barrel rings.
You got so close. I was so proud of you.
I was so close. So anyway, the segment revolves around the fact that our number that we established for the 100th episode, where you could call in, leave us a voicemail, talk about the show and everything, that is still set up. So you can call that number still. It is 859-428-8253. And you can leave a voicemail for us, and we will listen to it on the show like we're just about to, and then we'll respond to it and everything. This is the first time that I've heard this, and this is definitely the first time that you guys have heard this, too. This is from listener of the show and friend Eric. So let's see what Eric has to say for us.
Harry, this is Eric Jansen. Boy, what a year it has been. I believe I started listening to your podcast back in January, so just about 1 year ago. And since then, you have cost me a lot of money, but you have given me a great many laughs. The group that you have fostered through this podcast is absolutely phenomenal. The connections that I have made outside of the group, as you spoke about in the most recent episode with Chad and Swan, have been wonderful. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope that you have a happy holiday. And can we please get some Swan Froth? I think it'd be good. See you, buddy.
Oh, no.
He wants him some of that frothy swan sauce.
Oh, no.
Oh, so that wasn't really a question, but it was just kind of letting us know that Eric appreciated what we've done this year. And, we did our kind of 2019 wrap up in last week's episode, but I do want to say thank you to everybody who listened in 2019 and, helped this show grow and made it, bigger and better than it was in 2018. Things have just exponentially compounded themselves in 2019. And, I just can't say thank you enough to everybody. And if Eric's not proof enough that, a few short months ago, he hadn't heard the show before and then started listening, and now he's a part of everything. too. I mean, that's really cool to see and really special. And, you know, we hit 2 years in 2019. We hit 100 episodes. We had our first live show, our first meetup. There was just so much good that happened this year. And thank you guys. Really. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you to everyone and our listeners. And just like, we started this podcast out as just three dudes.
Just giggling and drinking
bourbon. Yeah.
Barely drinking bourbon at some points. And, you know, this...
we never could have imagined that we would we would create a community, that there would be a Facebook page with, you know, and people asking to join it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really amazing. It's been great to see as well, and see you be able to, you know, grow that. So.
Thank you.
I never thought people would be asking for swan sauce. I thought it was just a college nickname. I had no idea it would go this far. But here we are.
Somebody asked for Swan Bowl recipes too.
Oh no!
I just keep imagining bone broth bowls.
What are you trying to do to me?
Oh, sorry.
That's why you create offspring swan.
Oh no, I'm good. They're so loud.
That's fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. Anyway, that does it for this week's segment of Barrel Rings, which is the correct title for this segment. Now we're going to move into tips and bits, where we recommend some things. Guys, what are your tips and bits for this very first episode of 2020?
I got one. I went to a movie today that I was not expecting to love, but I ended up really liking it. I went to watch a movie called Knives Out.
Oh, yeah, I want to see it so badly.
You haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
I'll let him tell.
It's good. I can't... There's literally nothing I can say about this movie other than if you like the game Clue, this is for you. Like, it is...
So it's better than the Clue movie about Clue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so many twists and turns. If you were one of those people that asks questions about the movie you are currently watching, please do not sit next to me while this movie is going on.
Did that happen to you?
The lady behind me was just like... And he did what now? What is going on? I bet so-and-so is going to be the killer. And I'm just like...
That's my least favorite thing in the entire world.
I was like, you know...
When watching a movie.
If you watch it, the answers will come.
It will be explained.
Yes.
It'll be explained. Just let the movie play out.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Anytime anybody's like, well, why is this happening? Just shut up and watch the movie.
I can tolerate some minimal questions.
But constant?
But if you keep saying, oh, what's the point? Who is it?
Why are they doing that? Where is she going? Why?
Yeah.
Anyway, no,
it's a great movie, though.
Yeah.
I really do want to see it.
It's an hour, or it's 130 minutes long, and they have that long to explain it. And they take the entire 130 minutes to really wrap it up.
Okay. And just to quote a little bit, it won't give anything away, but grandson?
Yeah.
Is that you?
How old is she? We don't know.
No idea what that means.
We have no clue.
Kurt, what about your tips and bits?
Oh, we already told him.
Seltzer
water.
Sparkling water, man.
I'm glad you're on this train with me.
And I used to be very, very against it. I used to be like, why would I ever have that? I said, it's too carbonated. It's not good. Why would I want to drink that? It's a little bit of an acquired taste, but once you get on it, it's pretty good.
Fair enough.
It's like just water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which for somebody that drinks a ton of pop, it's been a good transition. It's been a healthy transition.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
It's nice too, because if you do have to have a vodka podcast, mix a little bit of that with seltzer water, it blends in great.
Well, speaking of vodka podcasts is actually what I meant too. The Vodcast did an episode called The Vodcast, and it's amazing. So if you've not yet listened to those guys, which I don't understand why you haven't, because they're fantastic, go check out their most recent episode. It's absolutely hilarious. Another podcast, another podcast real quick, and then we'll get out of here. It's called Suggestible, and it's a husband-wife couple. The husband is the host of my favorite podcast of all time, The Weekly Planet. where they talk movies and comics and TV shows. It's just straight up nerdiness. And they basically just suggest things. It's like a half hour of tips and bits. So
sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it a lot. And it's just easy listening, 30 minutes long. They've only really done probably a couple dozen episodes, if that, at this point. But anyway, that's tips and bits for this week. And this is now the end of the first episode of 2020. I hope we started off with a bang. I feel like we did.
Yeah,
I think we
so.
did. Yeah, we did all right.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody. Well, if they want to celebrate the new year and follow us on social media, where can they do that?
Oh, they can find me at KurtCon on Instagram and on Twitter, Kurt_Con15.
I'm on Facebook and Instagram at My Bourbon Finder.
And I am on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Well, really any social media channel at PRitter1492. But the show itself is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at My Bourbon Pod. You can leave us a 5-star rate and review on iTunes right in the app if you have not done so already. And I wanted to read out one of our most recent reviews. This one comes to you from our good friend of the show, Jeremy Kendrick. He says, I love Perry's honest opinions. His love of good bourbon and sharing it with good people comes through in a way I have heard in no other podcast. That is just extremely kind of you, Jeremy. I always end a show excited to share a new pour or revisit one. Keep it up, sir. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for leaving that. If you would like to do that and have your review read out on the show, again, you can do that right in app or really wherever you listen to the podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can send them to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. We do love hearing from you all, and we love being able to read it out on the episode itself. You can also do that by calling our hotline at 859-428-8253. You can leave us a message there, and we'll listen to it on the show like we just did with Eric's call here just a few moments ago. You can head to bourbonshop.threadless.com, find all of our apparel and merchandise. There's some really cool designs that are up there right now. I've had a few that have been added over 2019, and certainly more to come in 2020. If you're not yet a part of our Facebook group, you can head to facebook.com/nothing. It's just facebook.com and search for This Is My Bourbon Group, and you can join a really fun community of people who listen to the show and just love bourbon and love everything that it has to offer us. And then last but not least, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast is where you can become a supporter of the show for as little as $1 a month. That really does help us out on a month-to-month basis. You get awesome things at the $5 tier, like bonus episodes. At $10, you get live streams or Google Hangouts or stuff like that. And there's other little rewards that you can check out once you are over there. And again, that is patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. Thank you all so much for listening all the way through 2019. 2020 is going to be cool. It's going to be a good, big, awesome, fun, bourbon-filled year. And we'll see you next week. But until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Curtis.
And I'm Swan.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.
Awesome.
Wow. Quick, hot, fast.
Faster? Distilled experiences.
Distilled experiences.
I have nothing to add to this. This is wonderful.